Well, alright. Class, good morning. Well, our topic for today will be inverse functions. Inverse functions. First of all, starting the class, we'll need to define what an inverse function basically means. An inverse function is a function that undoes the action or operation performed by another function. Let me write the definition down for your easiness. First of all, an inverse function undoes the tasks and actions performed by another function. We have already discussed functions in the previous video as well. So I'm going to take an example. F of x is equals to x minus 5. This is a function. When we put in the value f, for example, let's take f6. That would be 6 minus 5, which is equals to 1. So when we put f6, we get a 1 in the y. When we put f6, we get y is equals to 1. The basic way to get to an inverse function from a particular function is that we make the subject x in an equation. Okay, so this particular function can be written as y is equals to x minus 5. We'll make x the function, x is equals to y plus 5, and then f inverse of x is equals to what we say, y plus 5. Now we can see from here f inverse that when we put 1 in this, when f of inverse x is equals to 1 plus 5, this will give us 6 again. That gives us 6, 1 as well. Okay, so basically the general rule is that if a function h, let's take function h as an example. Function h is the inverse. Function h is the inverse of the function. For example, let's take f, which is used generally. This will only happen whenever we put y is equals to f of x, then we get x is equals to h of y. Okay, so when we put a particular value of x in this function f, like in this example above, we saw that we put f6 and we got a y 1, and then when we put the value of y back into the function h, which is the inverse function of f, we get back the value of x. When we put in y1 in here, we get the value of x is equals to 6, as we saw over here. This is basically how we take inverse of a function. Inversing the functions is basically performing the operations in the reverse order. For example, let's take an example over here. F of x is equals to 4x plus 9. Okay, so we have to see that for taking out the inverse function of this particular f, function f, we need to reverse the operations that have been performed on the variable x in this particular function. Now this whole thing is being added by 9, so we'll subtract x by 9 first of all, and then we'll see that x is being multiplied by 4. So what's the opposite of multiplication? It's divide. This is the inverse function. This is a very simple basic rule of taking out inverse of a function very quickly. Okay class, we'll take another example. For example, let's denote this time from g. G of x is equals to for example 2x plus 3 upon 6. So for taking the inverse of g of x first of all we see that the whole thing is being divided by 6. So what's the opposite of divide? It's multiplication. So we multiply x by 6. Then we see that it's being added by 3. So we subtract 3 because subtraction is the opposite of addition. Then we see that it's being multiplied by 2. So we divide it by 2. We can also check this through another method. For example, this can be written as y is equals to 2x plus 3 upon 6. We just need to make x the subject to get to the inverse of this function g. So this 6 goes over there, it multiplies, cross multiplies. This is 6y is equals to 2x plus 3. Then we make x the subject, 6y, which is, remove this 3 on this side, where minus 3 is equals to 2x. We divide this whole by 2, we get x is equals to 6y minus 3 upon 2. This is exactly the same thing as this. This is basically an easy and quick way of how to get inverse of a function very quickly. Keep tuned to our channel and subscribe for more videos regarding functions and other topics. Thank you for watching.